welcome to Talking Hats. I'm Jodi Faith, and kind of came up with this idea that we have people who wear many different hats in our life. And today I want to introduce you to two lovely ladies from Real Humanitarian in Medhat. They run the Canadian office of an amazing humanitarian organization. Introduce yourselves, please.
So I'm Deborah Northcott. My husband and I founded Real Humanitarian, and I live here in Medicine Hat. I've been here for almost 24 years.
I'm Rachel Austin. I am Deb's daughter, and I've been working with the organization as I grew up and in more capacity for about the last 15 years. And I also live here in Medicine Hat with my family.
Wonderful. So I'm excited to introduce you all today to Real Humanitarian. And this is a project that you and your husband, Deborah, created. So tell us a little bit about how did Real Humanitarian come to be?
Sure. So in 1992, I, as a young mom, was very distressed by some of the things that I saw on the news about children that are in areas where there is conflict and war. At that time, there had been some exposure of Romania and the institutions and orphanages that were there. And so at any rate, I started exploring looking at international adoption. And my husband and I decided that we would adopt two children from Ethiopia, which was also just coming out of a 21-year civil conflict. So in 1994, they came home. So our youngest two children are Ethiopian-born, Canadian-raised. And that trip for my husband to bring them home was very life-changing for him.
I can imagine.
Yeah, so when he got home, we decided that we needed to do something more for the children that were left behind. And from that desire, we eventually got our Canadian charitable registration, and that was in 2003. Okay. And then we went back to Ethiopia and talked to the people there in ministries of women and children's affairs and social services, and asked them what they felt would be the best way to help children who were vulnerable, orphaned, high risk. And they felt that having them go to school and getting an education, being able to transform their lives, would be the most help. So that's where we started.
That's where you started.
That's where we started. Yeah.
And how old are your two adopted kids now?
They're adults. They're in their 30s.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And Canada's home for them.
Yes. Yeah.
What a beautiful story. A lot of us watch, what's on the news and are not necessarily inclined to start an entire life helping out. Rachel, how long have you been involved with Real Humanitarian then?
I started getting more involved. I helped out a little bit, obviously, as the family was involved with it, but actually taking on like a role in it in about 2009.
Okay.
And I started helping with some of the fundraising and keeping database records and student files, and then moved through that to helping with marketing and graphic design and helping with all sorts of different things. So just kept wherever there was a need, we just kind of fill in. Yeah.
Wow. So as an international charity, are you seeing a lot of changes to what you've been able to do and how you've been able to grow over this last 10 years or so?
Yeah, there's definitely been a change in the international community in that I think, especially currently, there are so many nations that are at conflict, and so many people who are on the move because of those conflicts. And so I'm not sure that the challenges for children have really been reduced.
Right.
And in particular, Ethiopia, they had a period of time between 2009 and 2014 that was a bit of a honeymoon period with that new government that came in from the civil war, but eventually there have been conflicts and issues again. So that the cycle of poverty, extreme poverty, is still present. I think globally we're making some headway, but in certain places, particularly Africa, it's really difficult. So that's what keeps me going back, is the fact that there are still children who are desperately in need of some kind of intervention to help them have a life and have hope that there is a future.
So are you working with the government on a regular basis? Are they kind of your hands and feet, the ear to the ground there? Is that how you know, or have you got a team of people that you're working with outside of the government in Ethiopia? And
So we're a non-government organization.
Okay.
So that's international charities or NGOs, a
Yes.
non-government organization. But we do work with local governments in receiving referrals from them. They know their communities. They
Sure.
know which families are high risk, which children are at risk. And so they refer children to us. And their lists are always incredibly long, and our ability is always not going to meet that. So that's a bit of a challenge. But we do work in hand with them to know who in their communities need help. And we currently work with 9 communities in Ethiopia.
Okay.
So there is that crossover. And then, of course, the children, we're helping them to get their education, and we work with the school systems that are already existing and provide them an enrichment program after school. So we're also working with the schools, and they're also government funded, just like here. They're public schools, and so there is that intersection there as well. So you're working with the principal and that students' teachers, as well as the local government who has basically their social welfare, or our equivalent, I guess, of social welfare, and knowing who's at risk and who needs support.
So, Rachel, are your kids called clients? What do you call these individuals that are part of this?
We usually just refer to them as the students,
The
but
students,
also
okay.
in a larger aspect, we call them beneficiaries or participants.
Okay.
And so that way we're acknowledging what their role is in the program.
Receiving from the program. So I can't even imagine like what you guys have seen and how the many opportunities. And so do you have a motto or a slogan that you use? Because I imagine you have to bring it down to something really usable and easier to wrap your head around, because it's a huge project, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
A motto or slogan in the way that we describe it to people.
Yeah.
Changing lives in a changing world.
Yeah.
That's what we usually say.
That's been our slogan.
Yeah.
Changing lives. So do you have people working for you over
Yes.
there right now?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about those folks.
Part of community development and helping a country that is dealing with poverty is to help those that are qualified and educated to have employment, so that they also can provide for their families. So all of the people who are working in our after-school centers are Ethiopians, and they are qualified either as social workers, teachers, in education in some way, so that they can be of benefit and help to the students who are under their care and in their stewardship. Yeah.
And the students, are they still living at home with their parents?
Absolutely.
So they're still part of a family group. So you're not just helping the children. It ends up being the entire family, hey?
Which also ends up being the community.
Yeah.
So it has that ripple effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful. So how many families are you working with today?
Just over 500.
My goodness.
At any given time, it's 500 families. Yeah.
Okay.
And then as students progress and move through to university, we help them through university, and then they become alumni. We call them alumni as they graduate and have their careers. So we've got over 1,500 young people that have graduated, if you wish, into that alumni status, who are now independent, giving to their communities, raising their own families. Their children never need a program like ours. That to us is our success.
Isn't that a beautiful, beautiful example of how just this help over here can change
Everything.
an entire generation, right?
Yeah.
That's wonderful. So funding. We're here to really talk about the Hues for Humanity and the upcoming race that we'll be seeing here in Medicine Hat, Fort McMurray. So tell us, how did you come up with this idea for a fundraiser? I think it's really interesting, and maybe let our viewers know what you're going to be able to see on May 26th.
Okay.
Okay, so the idea for Hues for Humanity, we wanted to do something that engaged families as a whole. So that kids could do, that families could do together. We knew that walkathons or runathons are a fairly common or fairly popular idea, but we wanted to make it more fun. We wanted to have it be something that was a bit unique.
Okay.
And color runs, when we first started this 10 years ago, were kind of like everyone was super excited about them, and they're still super fun. It's still a lot of fun to do it.
Sure.
And we took some of the color powder with us when we went to Ethiopia one time and did one with the students while we were there, and they loved it. It was a super fun time. So it's always a good time. You get to throw powder at each other and have fun and get covered in color and go running down the path, and we do it in the rain or the good weather or however it goes.
Okay.
So it's always a fun.
So this powder that we're talking about, it's colored different colors.
Yes. So this idea originates from India, and it's an annual festival called Holi.
Okay.
And the idea of the Holi Festival is that it is a time for hope and renewal. And we just thought that color run concept of hope and renewal is one that we're trying to give to the children in Africa. So it was a good marriage, if you wish. It helps people here have a good time and feel refreshed, and it was also bringing hope to kids over there. So the powder itself is made from cornstarch and baking soda and then food coloring. So it's completely biodegradable. It doesn't harm the environment, doesn't harm anyone. And the baking soda component is important because it allows it to be non-flammable, so it can't combust.
I can imagine that would be a concern.
Yes, it is a concern. I think there are other places in the world that have tried with just the cornstarch and have had, if it's very, very hot or it gets near heat, it can light. So yeah, flour can even do that, actually, wheat flour. So the baking soda component is important. So we have a specific person or company that provides us with this powder.
Okay, so you order it in, and you order it in different colors.
Yeah, there's 7 colors.
All right, and so if I wanted to put a team into your color run, what does that look like?
So you register online, make a name. There's lots of traditions with color runs where people use crazy names. Can you think of one?
We have like the Crazy Cats, or we have the Rainbow Trotters, or we have, there's people pick up their own names depending on, we have in Fort McMurray, we have this one group where they wear the kangaroo shoes. Have you seen those?
I have not.
They're these bouncy shoes. So they when they run, they really bounce as they go. So they call themselves the Rainbow Kangaroos or something like that. I can't remember, but fun names where they come up with it. And people dress in costumes, and they or they just come in their white t-shirts so that it can be colorful by the time you're done. And they have a really good time. So you can get a team together of anywhere from 4 to as many people as you want. Get yourselves together, come and pick up your race bags with your t-shirts, and then meet on the morning of the event at the starting line. So
all dressed up, however you want to be.
All dressed up and ready to go.
Yeah.
And are they fundraising by asking people to support them through the run? Is that part of what we're trying to get out there? Like, people might want to sign up to actually support or sponsor someone?
Yeah, each team or each individual is automatically set up with a donation page. And if they want to share that, if that's part of what they're wanting to do to fundraise for the event, then that is wonderful. And those donations come in just online. They can share that with people online.
And it goes right to the programming. Or not, because the whole event itself will help us raise funds as well. So if they aren't able to do that or aren't interested in that, then they can just register and participate.
So they can run without having sponsors.
That's
because you have an additional side to the fundraising that happens that day. Tell us how that looks then.
So we have sponsors from businesses in the community that help to promote the run and sponsor the run.
Yeah.
We're really excited in Medicine Hat to be partnered with the Rise Up Festival. And that's great to be, one of those fun things that people can do on that weekend. So there's people from the community that are involved in sponsoring the event, and so that helps to raise funds for our students back in Africa. So.
That is wonderful. So how much are you guys looking to raise in a year in order to support the programs that you have?
We raise about $1.2 million a year in order to support the programs. Yeah.
It must be mind-boggling for your husband and yourself to look back from the beginning and just seeing something on the news to what you've been able to accomplish.
It has been, it's hard to remember almost. It's long enough ago, but I know that when we started, we made the commitment that we personally would fund 40 kids, and then we would recruit as many friends as we could to help us get those 40 kids going somewhere. And then it just organically grew from there. So yeah, it's actually really wonderful to see how many people want to help, and it's great to be involved with such great people. So
if somebody wants to learn more about you, what is your website?
Just go to www.realhumanitarian.ca and you will find us.
And do you have videos online of former races? Like, do you have some of that kind of stuff if they're kind of curious about what is this going to look like?
Social media, I think, would be a good place for that.
We do. Hues for Humanity has its own Facebook page, and we post the pictures and videos from previous years on there. So there's albums from the last few years from all the different locations, so that people can see what it's like.
Awesome. So how many teams will you end up having traditionally?
Traditionally, we end up with anywhere from 20 to 40 teams, right? Yeah, depending on the location of the race, but so
And so if people wanted to sign up to be on a team but they don't have a team, can they sign up individually? Yeah, and then you'll just put them with somebody, or they can go on their own, be part of the
whole big group.
Right.
And kids 9 and under are free, so families can bring their kids and pull them in a wagon or put them in a stroller or whatever they want to do.
We have a specific stroller for Color Run Day.
Your family.
Yes. My kids love the Color Run, and so they have their Color Run shoes and they have their Color Run shirts, and we have the Color Run stroller, and that is what they're going to be doing. They've been asking about it.
They're excited already.
Yeah.
It's become an annual tradition at your house, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I can imagine other people have done that too. They've just decided it's really important, and so they're going to just support it. So anything else you want to help our viewers understand about your day on May 26th specifically? 25th.
Yeah,
May 25th. Thank you for that. So that's the Saturday.
Saturday morning.
Yes, Saturday the 25th. And what time does it start?
We'll be kicking off the run at 10, but if you can come at 9:30, we have a warm-up with Kaylee Malmberg, who is from Badlands Training Center. She's going to get everybody warmed up, and then they will head off on the trail. And so, we're at the Tourism Center as the staging area. Millie's Sodas is going to be there. Everyone gets a free drink and a treat from Millie's. And so, just come and have a great time.
So this is at the information
center just off the highway.
That's awesome. And so we've got to be there by 9:30. Make sure you're not late. It's going to be, that's part of the fun, is just being part of all that, right?
Yes, and picture taking and all that fun stuff. We usually do a huge color toss as a big group. Before everybody hits the trail, so they'll already start with a little bit of color.
Oh, that's so fun.
As they run along the trail, we have color stations.
Our
sponsors or volunteers will be there, and then they throw color at you or something as you go past, or give you water if you're thirsty. We have water stations at them as well. But as you go along the trail, you get more and more color the farther you go along, until you come back and you're completely covered.
Oh, this is so fun. And just what a great cause. What are your hopes for Real Humanitarian over the short term?
Well, I guess my global vision would be that eventually at some point we would work ourselves out of a job, that there would be no more children that are in a position where they need these kinds of interventions. But short term is just that we can help as many people as possible. So,
keep the programs going.
And keep them helping the children that need it.
Oh, that's so awesome. As an individual in Medicine Hat who might want to come alongside of you, what are the different options that we have to support you outside of the color run? Let's talk a little bit about that. How do we connect with your students?
So we do have a child sponsorship program where if you donate towards the program, then we match you with a student where you can communicate with them, or you can see their progress year to year. We send out updates frequently, so you can watch them progress through their schooling and graduate out of the program.
Yeah, and you can write to them if you want as well.
Okay.
We also have volunteer travel groups that travel, and so you can travel and actually come and help us hands-on in Africa if that's of interest to you, and if you're sponsoring a child, actually meet that child and spend some time with them. Yeah.
So we've got the race coming up here locally, and then what other kinds of fundraisers do you do around Alberta?
So we have color runs in 2 other locations. We have it in Fort McMurray and also in Calgary. And then we also do a gala in the fall, both here in Medicine Hat and in Calgary. So we do have multiple events around the province.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us today as we get to learn a little bit more about the work that's being done internationally right out of Medicine Hat, Alberta, and with Real Humanitarian. Check out their website and get to know them, and maybe sponsor a team or sponsor or a child, a student. It's just an exciting thing. Thanks for being with us today.